Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another KP's Place YouTube video or podcast if you're listening on Anchor FM. This is our predictions video and podcast for the Elimination Chamber coming up this weekend in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. So today I am joined by Scarlett and Kurt. We're going to be rolling through our predictions. We're going to be discussing things about the matches, everything that's going to be taking place at the event. And we're basically going to be saying who we think is going to win, what's going to go down. And yeah, let's see if we can be some fortune tellers for a little bit. So let's get started then. First things first, we will talk about our first match, which we are choosing to be Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar. So obviously there's been a lot of history between these guys leading up into this one. They've had a couple of matches over the last, I want to say just over a year, because I think it was Royal Rumble last year, Crown Jewel. So this is the third match between them. And they are like, in my opinion here, they haven't really had a proper one-on-one with no issues that have gone down. So obviously you had the one in at the Royal Rumble last year, where it came about with Bobby Lashley actually winning the WWE Championship as well off of Brock Lesnar on that instance. But obviously interference played a massive part in that one. Then you throw over to Crown Jewel, and that was a little bit of a controversial finish with the whole, Hurt Lock being locked in on Brock Lesnar. And then Lesnar just sort of like pushing off the corner of the turnbuckles and stuff, and just getting like a sort of like an odd style pin for Lesnar. Let's face it, Lesnar doesn't do roll ups or like pins of that description very often at all. It's basically just beat your opponent like senseless and then get the win. That's the Lesnar that we all know. So I think this is going to be a good opportunity here to get a proper match between these two. No one's likely to interfere in this one. I don't think they'll go down that route of a weird finish again. I think it's going to be a heavy-hitting, hard-fought match, and I'm actually quite excited for this one. Like, I think out of all the card, there are a lot of good matches going on. This may be the least sort of anticipated by fans in general, but honestly, I think this one's going to be great. Just give them the time, just give them the option to sort of like go at each other. No holds barred, essentially. I know it's not a no holds barred match, but you know what I mean. Like, but physical battle between the two of them. They are beasts at the end of the day. In terms of the winner of this match, I think it's a hard one. I think if I had to go with my head, I would say it's probably going to be Bobby Lashley. But I'm not confident about that in the slightest. I think this one could literally go either way. I don't have a set argument that says this guy's going to win or this guy's going to win. I just think maybe Bobby Lashley's going to get the win. Maybe, I don't know, it's because Lesnar has sort of been the thorn in Lashley's side. I'm going to go with Bobby Lashley. That's my gut feeling. And yeah, I'm just hoping for a really high octane match between these two. Kurt, let's hear your thoughts about this one, buddy. What are you thinking about this one?
Yeah, for this match, at Royal Rumble, Bobby Lashley eliminated Brock Lesnar, which came to this, which we all kind of expecting this one to happen. So I think there's going to be one extra match of this going to happen, possibly at WrestleMania, which for this match, I think it'll be like hard-hitting match, but I think it will end in a disqualification, and I think Brock Lesnar or Bobby Lashley will like steel chair slam someone, and that will do a disqualification that leads up to the WrestleMania event of them two squaring off with each other, either in a no disqualification match or a falls count anywhere match. And if it doesn't happen as a disqualification, my prediction to win this is Brock Lesnar. The reason why I picked Brock is because I think this will lead up to one more match, which at WrestleMania I think Bobby Lashley will win. And that will end the feud between them two. And that's when I think Bobby Lashley might return to the Hurt Business with Cedric Alexander, MVP, and Shelton Benjamin. So with WrestleMania win, I think Bobby Lashley will go back to Raw. So that's how I think it will lead up to with this match. So my prediction will win is Brock Lesnar. But if it's disqualification, I think Bobby Lashley will steel chair Brock. That's what I think will happen. So I pass you to Scarlett for his thoughts. Over to you, Scarlett.
Yeah, I do think this is the worst match on the card. That's not really a down to this match. It's more so just saying that the rest of the card I think is looks very good at the moment. So I too think that maybe this will go to WrestleMania. Although if this is the third match, it does kind of make you wonder. Maybe they'll just cap it here. But I don't know. We'll see. I think that this one's tough. I think I'd have to go with Bobby just because I feel like he's here all the time. He needs the momentum more. Not that that stopped Brock from winning in the past, but I think it just makes more sense to have Bobby win this match and to continue on his upward trajectory that he's currently on. The heel face dynamic for this feud has been really strange, and at points where I'm questioning like who is this? Like, obviously Brock is the face now, but Bobby has felt pretty over for a majority of this feud too, even when using heel tactics. So I think Bobby benefits most from a win here, and I think he should be pushed forward if this is the end, which I'm not sure it is, but if it is, I think that's the reason I'm going to go with Bobby on this one. Back to you, KP.
Nice. Well, thanks very much, guys. Yeah, it's a weird one. I don't really know for certain, but I'm excited because matches that I don't know the specific outcome or I don't feel confident about, I think adds a lot more interest to. So that's nice. That's good. So that's already a positive, really, for me going into this. Right. Okay. So we've had a discussion about this one. Let's move on now to one of the other matches on the card. And next, we're going to be talking about the mixed tag team match, which features the Grit couple, so Edge and Beth Phoenix, taking on two of the Judgment Day. In this case, it could be Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley. So this match is something that I think we've expected for a little bit of an extended amount of time now, right? So I think we expect sort of Edge and Beth to go up against Finn and Rhea. Obviously, with Rhea Ripley winning the Royal Rumble, it kind of had to be right quickly. Let's get it in then, and let's get this match all set up and sorted. So I'm glad they're making it happen at Elimination Chamber. Is this the end of Edge and Beth against the Judgment Day? Maybe for Beth, but I still think that Edge has one big match against maybe Finn Balor still left in this rivalry. I think this is going to be the penultimate matchup between Edge and the Judgment Day in any shape or form. I think we're going to have something that comes at WrestleMania, but in terms of this particular matchup, I'm really torn because Edge and Beth Phoenix haven't actually lost the tag team match together yet. And then you've got Finn and Rhea Ripley, who obviously are deadly and are extremely, great together. In terms of this whole Judgment thing at the moment, I'm really hyped on them. I think they're great. I'm really struggling to pick a winner here. I obviously, as a massive Edge fan, my heart says, go for Edge, like go for the Grit couple. They're going to get the dub. I'm not confident though. I really am not sure. I think logically thinking about this one, if they were to go into another match at WrestleMania, it probably means that Edge is going to have to lose again to set up that match. But the more I think about it, you could really point it the other way. Is Rhea really going to take a loss going into WrestleMania season? I'm not sure if that's the wisest decision. I think just anything in my head says go for the Judgment Day to win here, and then maybe Edge wins against Finn Balor at WrestleMania. That could be maybe what they do from there on. But yeah, there's no really decisive argument for me to say one way or the other, but I am going to go with the Judgment Day winning this one. I'm going to go with Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley getting the win over Edge and Beth Phoenix, maybe by some interference, maybe by Dominic. Kurt, do you have a more confident opinion than I do?
I think I probably might do, KP. For this match, I will turn with KP for this one during the Judgment Day match. I'm thinking, same as KP, I'm thinking this is going to make an extra match onto WrestleMania, which is Edge versus Finn. But I think that Edge and Beth will win this one because the reason why I think this, I think Rey Mysterio might enter this match and attack Dominic, as at Royal Rumble, Dominic came out with Rey Mysterio's mask. So I think he might come out and attack Dominic and help them to win. Also, I think this what leads up to Edge versus Finn, which is I think Beth Phoenix will get the win over Rhea Ripley that make Edge versus Finn at WrestleMania. So that's what I'm going for. So Beth and Edge to win this match. Over to you, Scarlett.
Okay, so I disagree with both of you on certain points. So I think that the winner is going to be Edge and Beth. However, I think Edge is going to pin Finn because Finn's kind of got that Seth Rollins mentality, in my opinion, where the losses just don't really affect him. Had you asked me who was going to win this match a couple months ago, I would have said, well, Judgment Day absolutely has to win this match. But I feel like their current push is good enough and quite good, actually, and to a point I think a loss doesn't hurt them. I think if Judgment Day wins this match, it doesn't really continue the story as well as if Edge wins and then Judgment Day is, all hyped up and trying to get revenge. And then, as you both said, kind of leading that Edge Finn match at Mania. I think that makes more sense to me. So that's why I'm going with Edge and Beth, with Edge to pin Finn. I agree with UKP on the fact that I don't think Rhea is taking a pin here. Back to you.
Cheers, guys. Yeah, I mean, I would rather Edge and Beth get the win. I don't know. It's a weird one for me. I'm really not sure. I guess the Montreal crowd as well, that would sort of hype up Edge to an extreme as well. So, yeah, maybe that adds to it. The whole Rey Mysterio and Dominic thing does make sense. You can set that up for WrestleMania then. Yeah, I think you've made believers out of me. Maybe Edge and Beth are going to get the win here. But yeah, anyway, we've said our opinions regarding this match. Let's now move over to our next contest, which is the Men's Elimination Chamber match. This one obviously is for the United States Championship. You've got Austin Theory in there defending the title against the likes of Seth freaking Rollins, Johnny Gargano, Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, and Montez Ford. So I'm really excited about this chamber in general, right? I think you got some different people in here. Obviously, you got Seth Rollins, who's up there with one of the greatest currently in the business, sure. But then you got the likes of like Johnny Gargano, Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, Montez Ford. I believe that they are all making their Elimination Chamber debut. I think it's all four of them making a debut there, which I think is pretty sick. These aren't the guys that you would normally expect to see in an Elimination Chamber match. So I think this really just sort of like shows how highly sort of these guys are in the company right now. Obviously, Austin Theory's on this great run as the United States champion. I think probably his best run since being on the main roster. And then you got the likes of Seth Rollins, who's just great. Johnny Gargano, wonderful technician. Bronson Reed, I think he's done really well since coming in, but he hasn't really had that sort of like fan appeal so far. Damian Priest, one of my most enjoyable people that I like to see on Monday Night Raw. And Montez Ford, one of the guys that's absolutely adored by a lot of people. So I think there's a lot of talent in this match. So I think regarding the winner of this one, you could go a couple of ways here. So I think you could argue that like Rollins could win the title, but I don't think he will, because I think he's going to have a match against Logan Paul at WrestleMania. I think that's the direction they seem to be going. Rollins at the moment, saying that he doesn't like Logan because he's not a wrestler, he doesn't enjoy being in the company, he's just doing it for the paycheck, this, that, and the other. Okay, similar stuff that we've had before. You've got Johnny Gargano. I think he could be a really good bet on here to win this match, When Johnny Gargano first got onto the main roster, he had a couple of matches with Theory and stuff, and I think, I wouldn't mind revisiting that and like adding some intensity to it via the United States Championship. But then also, on the other hand of that, I think Theory could be occupied at WrestleMania by maybe a John Cena. So is that going to be for the United States Championship? It doesn't need to be, that's for sure. So, yeah, maybe they don't keep the title on Theory. Maybe someone new does win it. So then you're looking at really one of the four on the latter part of the screen. Obviously, if you're listening to this on the podcast, I'm talking about Johnny Gargano, Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, and Montez Ford. So I think the most likely out of those guys is Johnny Gargano to win. That's just my opinion, really. I think that nothing against the other three guys. I think they're all great, but I'd love to see a Johnny Gargano United States Championship run, maybe going to WrestleMania. I think he would absolutely love that. Like, he'd relish the thought of doing that, as would all these guys, really. But, when Johnny Gargano came back, he said he wanted to win the United States Championship. He wanted to go to WrestleMania. He wanted to, be on the card. This just sort of like strikes over those boxes. And we all know Triple H is a big Johnny Gargano fan. Like, he's one of those guys for him, isn't he? So I'm going to go with Johnny Gargano to win this match. However, I think it's between him and Theory. That's what I will say. One of those two options. I just don't think Theory needs to hold the title going into that match against Cena at WrestleMania if that does happen. So that's my opinions on this one then, guys. Before I will pass over to Kurt, just want to say this Chamber match is going to be brilliant. I'm so excited for it. I'm looking forward to it. Kurt, what do you think, buddy?
For this match, I've been kind of in between of Seth Rollins and Johnny Gargano to win this match. So for this match, I'm definitely confident that Theory will lose this one because obviously they got brilliant talent in these wrestlers and they need someone else to give a chance to. So as KB said, for Seth Rollins, there's rumours about him going to face Logan Paul at WrestleMania. So I don't think it'll be Seth Rollins. So Johnny Gargano, as KB said, I think he's the possible one to win this United States Championship. For Bronson Reed, I don't feel like he's kind of person who will kind of win it because he's just debuted back and he's just been in a couple of matches, so I kind of think he won't get it yet. For Damian Priest, he's a good talent, but I think he'll best to be with the Judgment Day, and he's already had a United States Championship before, so I think it will be him. Montez Ford, I doubt it'll be Montez Ford because he normally tagged with Angelo Dawkins, and it's not normally likely to see a single title. We normally like seeing the tag team titles, so the one I think will win this Elimination Chamber will be same as KP, which is Johnny Gargano, which will pick up the United States Championship that leads to WrestleMania with someone. I don't know who, but someone. So, how do you spell it?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if anyone, any of these competitors win this match. I wouldn't be surprised. I think the most surprising to me would probably be Johnny Gargano. For me, I just haven't felt an impact from him since coming to main roster. I've seen everything he did in NXT, and I respect that, what he did in NXT. But as we know, NXT and main are two different shows, and success doesn't always translate. But I just don't. He's the only one I would be really shocked at him winning. I think Bronson Reed also is not going to win, but I think he should have a really big impact. I hadn't really felt he did much on main either, but his last match, I think this last week, he's really started to make me a believer out of me. I think he has a lot of potential, and I would love to see him with the U.S. title, but probably still too soon. But definitely a big push from him. Damian Priest I don't think would hurt either to give a title to the Judgment Day. I think eventually, if you have the stable together long enough, you have to give them some sort of title to give them some type of credibility. As previously said, I don't think Rollins really needs the title. He can carry on his feud with Logan Paul, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he did have that, and then you insert Logan Paul into the feud for the U.S. title either. I wouldn't be surprised on that. Austin Theory, I think, makes sense. Obviously, he's been pushed to the moon, and he deserves every bit of it. I think and would want to win. I think Montez Ford would kind of shake the WWE picture here for the U.S. title. I think entering him here probably won't happen, but I just have extremely high hopes for him, and I think he has a ton of potential. So that's why I think Montez Ford might come out of this one with the title. Back to you, KP.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I really like the sound of this match. I'm just looking forward to it. I think it's going to be great. It's good to see some different people in a chamber. United Championship on the line. That's obviously something different as well. Let's just see what happens. Maybe one of us is right. Maybe, we're surprised. Let's see what goes down at the Elimination Chamber. So let's go over to our next match then, going from the men's side of things over to the women's side. And this one is for an opportunity to face Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship come WrestleMania. So no championships on the line in this one. Obviously, you've got 6 women all competing in this one. You got four of who were the last 4 in the Royal Rumble. Obviously, that being Raquel Rodriguez, Asuka, Liv Morgan, and Nikki Cross. Obviously, we're talking the last 4 besides Rhea Ripley, because obviously she's going over to challenge Charlotte. You've also got Natalya and Carmella, who booked their place in the chamber. So with this one, I am kind of pumped because obviously we've had the return of Asuka in this sort of like Kana style gimmick now that we're getting. And honestly, my main hype point is just seeing what carnage she commits. Whatever she does is going to be great. I can't see Asuka losing this match. I think it's a very obvious and almost like easy call to make, really. So, I mean, maybe it's a bit too simple, perhaps, in that sort of sense, but I think it does make sense when you think about it, because you've got the likes of Carmella, who's only recently just come back. So I think pushing her really to a match against Bianca Belair, who we've actually seen go up against Carmella a couple of times last year towards the back end of it. I don't think they would revisit that just yet. I don't think that's going to happen. I actually would welcome a Natalya win here. I wouldn't be against it so much. Natalya beating Bianca Belair at WrestleMania, I don't think is likely to happen, which means Bianca will continue her reign. But I wouldn't be against Natalya winning. Like, if they had something bigger planned for soon afterwards, maybe. But I don't really see Nikki Cross winning this one. She seems to be in some deranged, almost stalkerish style story with Candice LeRae at the moment. I don't really know where that's going so much. Maybe she wants to be a tag team with her. She seemed sort of infatuated by her when Candice approached her the other day, or like stunned by the fact that she was talking to her, you could say. I think that's going to take priority for her. Liv Morgan, obviously on the SmackDown brand at the moment. I wouldn't be against seeing Liv against Bianca. I really, really wouldn't. Liv's improved a lot over the last year or so, obviously having that SmackDown Women's Championship run, which was quite poorly received by a lot of people, and to be fair, rightly so for most of it. I think, since that sort of like period has ended, she has seemed a bit more, I don't know, vicious, but we've seen a different side to Liv Morgan, and it does seem to improve her as an appealing character. So perhaps that's one way you could look at it. And then Raquel Rodriguez as well. I have no sort of complaints to seeing her win this match either. I think Raquel against Bianca would be great. Two massive prospects for the future of women's wrestling here. I think Raquel is, quite highly thought of by Triple H. Again, being on the SmackDown roster, challenging for this one. I think there's a couple of these women that I really would like to see. I think if I had to pick, it would be Asuka. But at the same time, I wouldn't mind Raquel or Liv or even Natalya winning. But yeah, my head says to go with Asuka and witness the carnage that Asuka is going to dish out in this chamber. I'm looking forward to it. It should be a lot of fun. Kurt, what are your thoughts with this one then, man?
For this match, I've been thinking of two people that I want this to win, either Asuka or Natalya. But the one I think will be win the Elimination Chamber, I've got to pick is Natalya, because I really enjoy watching Natalya's matches, and I think it's time to give Natalya a big push, as she's been in this business for a long time, and give her more title wins. And if Natalya does not win, my second pick would be Asuka, but my first pick will be Natalya to win this, because I think she's good enough to beat Bianca Belair, and I think she'd be a really good competitor to win. So, my prediction, Natalya. Over to you, Scarlett.
Sorry, Kurt, to disagree. Although I am in agreement that Natalya does deserve a good push. Maybe one. Clearly, it's been overdue. But unfortunately, I don't see that happening here. I also don't see any push for Carmella or Nikki Cross winning this match. I think the three women on the left, being Raquel, Asuka, and Liv, are the only three that stand a legitimate chance of winning this match. With Liv being the least likely, I don't think Liv versus Bianca is Mania material. Liv has improved dramatically, but I think still has some more work to do. I would love to see Raquel versus Bianca, but again, I'm not sure that's quite Mania level. But it would be a great push to both of them as kind of the future of the women's division. I think them two and Rhea are kind of the future, with maybe Liv if she continues to improve. But I do think it's a little too soon for Raquel, and I think Raquel would make a better heel. I think that's when she'll get the big push. That's why I agree with KP, and second choice here is Asuka. I think what she did to Carmella and on I think it was this last Monday in her own tag match and her own teammates attacking her own teammates. So she did that in a match where they're supposed to be on the same side. I can't emphasize my excitement enough for how much damage she could do in a structure like this where she is actually supposed to be attacking them. So yeah, Kana Asuka, whatever her name ends up being, versus Bianca has WrestleMania written all over it. I think it's almost obvious at this point. So I'm really excited to see that. Should be a lot of fun. Back to you, KP.
Nice one. Thanks very much, guys. An Natalia win in Montreal could be quite the energy, I think. don't you reckon, Kurt? That would be an interesting situation. Like I said, I wouldn't be against it, but yeah, I'm looking forward to Asuka here. I'm just excited. She just really is captivating at the moment, and I'm just every time that I watch it Raw, I want to see her just. I want to see her do what she does. Like I think she's deadly as hell. So yeah, looking forward to this one massively. Can't wait for this one again. This card just speaks for itself, so it's pretty awesome. Let's get over now then to our next talking point, and that is obviously going to be the main event, which is the Undisputed WWE Universal Championship being on the line. Roman Reigns defending up against Sami Zayn. So let's paint a picture here. You've got Montreal, Quebec, Canada. You've got Sami Zayn. Literally, that is where he's from. He's from Montreal. This crowd is going to be absolutely electric. And I think as much as I big it up in my head, I don't think I'm going to understand how big it's going to feel until it actually does happen. Once we're listening to it go on down, I just think it's just going to be one of those absolutely surreal feelings, and like the crowd is going to be crazy. They're going to be really bigging up Sami, and it's going to literally feel like Clash at the Castle again when Roman went against Drew, and obviously the British crowd were really, really strongly behind Drew McIntyre. It's going to feel like that again, but this time obviously for Sami Zayn. And the build-up for this one has been quite great. And then you've had like promos between like Heyman and Sami, and then you've had obviously Sami attacking Reigns from behind, and there's been a good build to this one. Like they haven't had a long time to do it, so I appreciate you can't do too much with it in the 3 weeks. But I think they've done a really good job of it, and they've made Sami out to be sort of like a really creditable threat for the championship. That spear that Sami did on Reigns a couple of weeks ago, absolutely unreal, like quality spear. I just think that this match is going to be a really good, fun one to watch. I want Sami Zayn to win, but I don't think it's going to happen. Roman Reigns has, as of recording on this day, just hit 900 days as the WWE Undisputed Universal Champion. Obviously, that's the Universal for the whole 900 days. But yeah, he is 900 days as a champion now. So it just shows, the kind of dominance that he's going on at the moment. I think it's going to be a Roman Reigns win. I think they're still going to be going down the path with Sami to tag with Kevin Owens at WrestleMania against the Usos. So that seems to be in my head what the logical point is. I've seen a lot of talks about the potential of like a triple threat match between Cody, Sami, and Reigns, because obviously we know Cody is going to WrestleMania to face Roman after winning the Rumble. Is that going to happen? Don't get me wrong, I would like it to happen. I would actually prefer Sami to have a main title match at WrestleMania, because just, the hype and the moment for him, I think would be freaking fantastic. But I do think the tag team titles are where this is destined. That's where his story ends, I think, by dethroning the Usos with Kevin Owens. And that itself has a really great sort of ending to it. Like, I think that is an awesome way of doing things. In this match, particularly towards the end of it, I'm torn, because Kevin Owens, I think, is going to turn up. I think he's going to turn up at some point, right? But I'm not sure when and in what situation he will show his face come this match. I think Jey Uso is going to be involved. But here's where I'm a little bit torn, because obviously we've seen Jey Uso and Sami Zayn have this sort of connection recently. The rest of the bloodline obviously have now completely just gotten rid of and torn apart. I don't know if the DUIs of recent have affected Jay's ability to go over to Canada as well as his brother Jimmy. Obviously, we know Jimmy's the one with the fault here. We know that that's the issue. I can't remember if Jay's allowed there by himself or not. Because if he's not, then I suppose there's no real need for any of that to sort of be mentioned, really, because then the build will start after that. So if Kevin Owens does come out, maybe just to stop a beating from Reigns after the match ends, maybe, I don't know if that's the right way of doing it. I think you've got to have Jay come out. You've got to have Jay cost this match for Sami Zayn. There have been also rumblings of Jey Uso maybe challenging Roman Reigns at some point, but I think that will probably happen post-Mania. I don't think that's going to happen until afterwards. Maybe a SummerSlam main event, perhaps. I'm not sure. Or maybe a big match on one of those cards, perhaps. I don't know. But, yeah, I think what I will say, this is where I'm going with this one. I've done a lot of thinking about it. I'm going to say that Sami Zayn's going to lose the match because of Jey Uso. And then Kevin Owens is going to come out afterwards to set up the start of the build for their match at WrestleMania. It's going to be Sami and Kevin Owens against the Usos for the tag titles. Yeah, I think that's the way I'm going to book this one. That's the way I think they're going to book it, and that's what I think is going to go down. But hey, I'm looking forward to the crowd. I can't wait for it. It's going to be freaking electric. Kurt, what are your thoughts on this one, buddy?
Yeah, as KP said, we obviously know this from Royal Rumble that the feud with Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns, as Sami betrayed Roman Reigns, and for this one I got to go with Roman Reigns to retain. And during what KP said about Kevin Owens coming in this one, I think he will come in during the end of the match when it ends, and when obviously Usos and Solo Sikoa comes in, and I think they will try and do the same what they did to Kevin Owens at Royal Rumble, but then Kevin Owens will come in before they start doing that thing to Sami, and they like attack each other, and it just be them two standing in the ring that gives them advantage for the tag team titles at WrestleMania. That's what I think will happen, and obviously Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes up in WrestleMania. That's when the three titles go. So over to you, Scarlett.
So I did quite enjoy the promo between Sami and Roman, or excuse me, Sami and Cody. I think it was this last week, to kind of put doubt in our mind that what seems like the surefire Roman win. Maybe it won't be, or maybe something else is going to happen. The dynamic between both Sami and Jay kind of puts some doubts in my mind, because if Sami and Jay are the only two that understand each other out of this whole thing, it doesn't make as much sense. It doesn't seem quite as obvious as it did to have the Usos going up against Sami and Kevin Owens at WrestleMania, if that's the path they're, everyone thought they were seeming to heading towards. But not to say it's not, impossible still, but it doesn't seem quite as clear as it did earlier. But what if Jay, as he is able to be in Canada, what if he now crosses Sami again and kind of realizes that, he is with the bloodline, that's family, you can't cross family. If that were to happen here and ending up causing Sami the match, I think that makes a lot more sense. And then them to Sami and Kevin going up against the Usos makes a lot more sense. So that's kind of where my head's at. I think I still think Roman's winning regardless of how they book it. But as it stands, Sami and Kevin going for the titles against Jay just doesn't make a lot of sense. So I think Jay interfering here to cost Sami the match makes sense, and then that kind of steers everything, kind of paints the picture a little better than what it currently sits as in my head. So I'm with Roman on this one. Back to you, KP.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that one. Yeah, it just seems the most logical choice, right? Even though I want Sami to win, it's not going to happen, unfortunately, and I don't think it's going to go to a triple threat match at WrestleMania. So ideally, my main thing would have been to have Roman defend on both nights, but it doesn't even seem like they're going down that route now either, which is interesting because I thought that would have been a good way to split up the titles. So yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I thought that would have been top priority after last year, but they've actually gone a full year without even hinting they're going to be splitting them up. So it's interesting, right? It definitely is an interesting one. Okay, so that is all of our predictions regarding the Elimination Chamber come Saturday.
Have we seen KO since the last pay-per-view? We haven't, right?
No, we have not.
So I think that even kind of paints the picture even better. If we have Jay come back and realize he's part of the bloodline, try to go up against, cost Sammy the match, and then have KO, who's also from Canada. I don't recall if he's from Quebec exactly, but I know he's from Canada. So the pop that they could get, and then Sammy, trying to, go against his better judgment and fighting Jey Uso, that could just be, hesitantly, I guess is the point I'm making, have to fight Jey again. I think that could create, what a picture that could create. Basically what they did at Royal Rumble, just kind of a little lesser because it doesn't have as long as a payoff. But I think them two and going up against Jey and maybe Solo here could create a lot of drama. And obviously get them a lot of heat being in Canada. So it could be fun.
Yeah, I agree. I think he'll get probably almost a stronger reaction to Sammy, I would have thought. But it will be great to see him because we haven't seen him such a long time. I'm excited. What a card it is. It's going to be, very, very hyped up, and it's going to be pretty sweet to watch, see what goes down. The storytelling between the whole bloodline and stuff is just fantastic. So I'm looking forward to seeing the next chapter of that unveil and begin, as well as the chamber matches as well. 2 great lineups. And yeah, the card in general just does seem really, really great. So I'm really excited about this week's event. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And yeah, let's just hope for a really good show. Let's hope the match card lives up to what it seems like it's going to. All right then, guys. Thank you very much for your input today. I appreciate it as always. Thank you everybody as well for tuning in and listening to this podcast or watching on YouTube. We will be back with another one next week with our thoughts and reactions to the Elimination Chamber and basically everything went down. We're also going to be starting up some new videos and podcasts soon regarding Raw and SmackDown, so weekly episodic television reviews. We're basically going to be reviewing what goes down on each Raw and SmackDown, what we think of each thing, and just sort of summarizing each event. So new videos planned for the future, new podcasts planned. That's just something that could be coming very, very soon as well. So more content, which should be quite nice. Thank you very much to the likes of Kurt and to Scarlett for joining me today, casting your opinions. Let me know what you thought of everything, what you think is going to go down. And yeah, I'm excited to see who gets most right. And maybe, we've called it again. So we're going to head off now, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. This has been another KP's Place YouTube video and podcast with me, KP, because that would be me, and with Kurt and Scarlett, because that would be them. See you next time, guys.